Welcome back to the highly anticipated podcast. I'm your host, Josh Raphael. I got my co-host with me, Tyler Pouncey, Will Young. How y'all boys doing?
We back, man. Good to be back.
It's been a little minute, but this is like a kind of like a surprise show today because there's been some news that's going around on Twitter, all the social media, the college football playoffs. And I mean, if you're a Florida State fan, it is a very tough day for you. And I apologize, man. I feel sorry for you guys. I'm not gonna lie. 13-0, undefeated conference champion, and you get booted out. I know that's very unfortunate, but we're here to talk about all that. So I'm gonna kick it off with you, Ty. I mean, let's just start off with a simple question: did the committee get the order right?
I'll go from two point of views because I think from a player standpoint, hell no, no way in hell you should Power 5 conference champion undefeated don't make the playoff. But we can't sit here and act like that. They didn't lose probably a Heisman contending quarterback in Jordan Travis with his knee. I think it's a knee injury or whatever they call it.
His leg snapped in half.
His leg broke.
Oh,
bro. It's crazy. They were going through all the games, and they showed it on accident live.
Yeah,
Like we're not gonna show that again, but that's besides the point. But yeah, you can't put a quarterback, or you can't put a team in with a third string freshman quarterback. I think they're saying the other quarterback would have played if they would have made it, but you just can't, especially over Alabama, who just beat the number one team in the country. It was close at the end, but it was pretty convincing win last night. So I think it's like 50-50, maybe 60-40. As far as from a player standpoint, I'd be hot if I was on Florida State because we did what we were supposed to do. We won every game, and we beat Louisville, who's been a great team all year, top 15 team. So I mean, it's tough. I'd say they got it right from the viewership standpoint and how more competitive it's going to be with Bama and Michigan because it wouldn't have been close if it was going to be Florida State and Michigan. But I'd say they got it right in my opinion.
How about you, Will?
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. From a viewership standpoint, I think that's the biggest issue here is that it feels like the committee made this. Come on, man.
Getting a phone call. That's the committee calling you something.
So, only because they listening, bro. They listening. It definitely feels like the committee made this decision, like almost as a fan. So basically, like us, like end of the day, don't nobody want to see no second, third string QB playing in the playoffs, throwing for 50, 60 yards in a playoff game. Don't nobody want to see that. That's not good football. And with either of their quarterbacks at the starting position, they are not a top 4 team. So with that in mind, yes, should they be in the playoffs? No. But if you're gonna be like an actual committee and go by whatever your quote unquote standard is, which still could be up in the air because whatever y'all say, we still don't know how y'all do it. Then I feel like Florida State being Power 5 conference and going undefeated, you have to put them in there. I mean, it's the reason it's never not happened in history because like that's not a thing. Like that doesn't happen. So from that standpoint, it's kind of like dang, like y'all messed up because really, it says like does the committee actually value winning? If you're just gonna throw Alabama in there just because they won one game, so it's tough. And if I was, if this was like Michigan State and I was a Michigan State fan, I'd be livid. So I get FSU fans. It's kind of funny hearing y'all complain all day, but but I like I get it. I think the rankings, the order is correct. Michigan at 1, as much as it hurts me to say, whatever. Michigan at 1, Washington at 2, Texas at 3, Alabama sinking in at 4. I'm still not. I'll be honest. I'm still not sure if I would have threw Alabama in there, over Georgia. I don't know. I go back and forth about that. But I guess besides the FSU thing, they kind of got it right. I'm okay with it. I'll say that. Like I can live with it.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think they got it right 100%. I had actually a friend, he's a diehard FSU fan, and we've been kind of going back and forth all week, and it's crazy. We drew up this exact scenario, and obviously in his scenario, he's like, yo, you can't leave out FSU, undefeated conference champ, can't leave him out no matter what. And although, to Tyler's point, from a player's perspective, I feel terrible for them. I mean, you go 13-0, win the conference championship, you rally around your team after Jordan Travis goes out, and you guys win 2 big games so that you guys can even be in a position to make the college football playoff, and you don't. So it's like there's not really much more you could have done. But it's just unfortunate for FSU that a lot of the big teams in the ACC, like the Clemsons, et cetera, just had down years. So it hurts you when you beat those teams or play teams like that. And it's like, because they're not having good years. So they have to take that into consideration. And the ACC just has been, down all year. It hasn't been the ACC that we're accustomed to seeing. So, and again, FSU can't control that. They just play who they play, and, they beat them, which they did. But you have to take that into consideration. Texas was, good all year, aside from when they lost to Oklahoma, but Oklahoma was hot at that time. I believe they're ranked 12, got all the way up to number 6 in the country. So it's not like that was like a bad loss at the time. Dylan Gabriel was playing like a Heisman candidate at that time. So that's not a bad loss. And that's what the Red River rivalry, that's a big game. So it wasn't like it was just a regular game on a regular Saturday night. It was a big game, and they lost. They fought hard. But the thing for Texas that I think really helped them at the end of the day was the fact that they went to Tuscaloosa and they handed Alabama a whooping. They went over there, and it's very hard to win in that environment, and they did that convincingly. So obviously that came back and helped them at the end of the day. And obviously in the Big 12 championship, you saw what they did to Oklahoma State, handled them. Quinn Ewers looked amazing. Texas looked amazing. So obviously when you add all those up, Texas had to be in. Now, obviously, we're not Michigan and Washington undefeated. They're going to get in no matter where. Now, that wasn't the whole debacle. But now you get to Alabama, right? So Alabama, where they 12-1, I believe their only loss this year was to Texas. And obviously, Texas was looking good all year. So obviously, Alabama goes on and takes down 29-game win streak, number 1 in the country, the Georgia Bully Bulldogs. So SEC champ. I know there's a little bias that goes into this for the committee, has to be, but there's no way there's no way on this green earth they would ever leave an SEC champion out of the college football playoff. I don't care what you say. At least with this current format, they will never do it. They won't ever do it because the SEC is literally the best conference in the country. So it's like if you can win that, that's essentially was a playoff game. That SEC championship was essentially a college football playoff game. So whoever had won that was going to get into the playoffs easy. So, obviously that was chaos. And when I saw Alabama won that game, I said it's done for FSU. I was like, it's done because they just took down number 1 Georgia, who obviously Georgia won, they were going to be in, but they took down number 1 Georgia. Their only loss of the year was to Texas, who the Big 12 champs won in convincing fashion, looked good all year, and they're going to get in. And that's the only loss they can look at. There's no way they could have left Alabama out. They just couldn't. And you look at FSU's schedule, their biggest win was against number 5 LSU at the time, and LSU finished with 3 losses. Yes, they have the Heisman contender, whatever the case is, but they weren't great all year long. So that's their biggest win that you have to look at. It's hard. It's hard to say, okay, who are we going to put in? Because to Will's point earlier, it's or I think Tyler said this, how the criteria was all right, those last couple teams for those last couple spots, you put them all together because it's all right, you guys are all conference champions or whatever the case may be. Now it's really about who is the better team. So when you break it down from literal that schedule to schedule, you look at who Alabama played, you look at who Florida State played. you got to give it to Bama. Yes, it sucks. Florida State was undefeated. They didn't lose a game. But
That's crazy.
I mean, it's
That's
just
wild, though.
it was just.
But the only thing I would say though is that in every other year up to this point, yes, that argument stands true. It's the SEC. They've historically been overwhelmingly the more dominant conference than anybody else, except for this year.
That's
so
fact.
like winning the SEC championship any other year be like, of course you're going to the playoffs. You just won in the most dominant conference. This year, it really doesn't hold as much weight. Like
It's
the
only
ACC,
like
this yes, like the same way the ACC had a down year, the SEC had a pretty down year too, in compared to what they usually are.
Yeah.
So
I mean, everything that went wrong for FSU went wrong. The teams that they just needed Georgia to win. But then again, even if Georgia wins, then it's like, all right, bro, it's gonna be now Texas.
On me or Florida State.
Or Florida State, you know. But then from that point, I think the committee, it would be a lot harder for the committee now, because now it's like, okay, I mean, yeah, they did beat Bama earlier, but Bama just lost to Georgia. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So everything that they didn't want to happen, because now it's like, you know, they love Alabama. I don't care what anyone says. You know, they have bias for Alabama. And honestly, I'm not trying to say that's like because Alabama's not good. Alabama's amazing. They're going to compete with whoever they play against. So, I mean, was it, what's the word I want to look for? If FSU got in, that would probably be the most logical thing. But that's not the right thing, you know. And I think, like Will said earlier, I mean, as a fan, I think the committee probably looked at it as a fan. I mean, this is probably going to be arguably some of the best, college football playoffs we're going to see, because it's going to be competitive from top to bottom. I feel like every single year we kind of have like an outlier. We're just like, all right, bro, this game's definitely going to be a blowout. Like
every year, every time, bro.
But this is like from top to bottom. I mean, you got Washington going against Texas, two high-powered offenses, and then you got Alabama and Michigan, two amazing defenses. I mean, this is gonna be crazy. This is, I mean, if I'm Michigan, I'm low-key punching a bag like, oh god, we gotta play these guys first.
They ain't look to it. You seen they
they was hot. Like, they wanted to play Florida State so bad.
They do not want. They do not want that.
They're like, bro, like I would have rather just played Florida State with their second or third straight quarterback, man. That would have made me feel better. But
it would have been a dub. It would have been a dub.
I mean, easy. And I think too, what didn't help Florida State was how they looked in the conference championship. Granted, yes, they're going to get their backup quarterback. They're going to get their backup quarterback for if they were to be in the college football playoff. But I mean, bro, that was arguably one of the worst games I've watched. I mean, their defense is national caliber defense. But offensively, bro, when you don't have Jordan Travis, I'm sorry, it's not the same Florida State. I mean, you scrape by in the swamp, pulled away in the fourth quarter, and then against Louisville, who, I mean, their quarterback Plummer. I mean, I'm not here to bash people, but I'm sorry, bro. I mean, I think he's a 6th year. Come on, bro. Come on. Like, I mean, your performance was just pitiful. Shout out to the FSU defense. Yes, I don't know what he was. Bro, I could have swore they said he was a 6th year.
No.
I could be wrong.
I think he's a true. I thought he was a true freshman.
If he's a true freshman, then Plummer, I apologize. But I'm going to look up because I don't know who they said was a 6th year.
I think the second is the second.
Well, you look kind of old to be a true freshman, but I'm just saying. No, the Florida State quarterback is a true freshman.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the Louisville quarterback.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were talking about.
Oh, he's 24. This guy's 24. This might be 25.
Bo Nix. He on his Bo Nix.
Oh, you talking about him?
No. Florida State's quarterback. I can't blame him too much. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, you're a true freshman. Didn't really get any snaps. I think their center was hurt too for at least some of the week, so I don't think they got a lot of reps together. But nah, like I'm talking about Louisville's quarterback. He played pitiful. He was.
But that's what I'm saying though. Like
ACC title game.
that I think that's like the thing. It feels like they cared how you won the game, like more than the actual dub, and they only cared about that for FSU.
Yeah,
like because if we're gonna talk about how you won games, Like,
but I mean,
okay,
like
yes,
to
they
not
struggled
to not
against
to cut you
Louisville. They
off,
pulled it out. Oh, go
not
ahead,
to
go
cut
ahead.
you off, but like I mean, you're already kind of trending to the next question, so I was just gonna say, like, I mean, what do you think the criteria is? Because I mean, you kind of already started kind of talking about it, so I mean, kind of just keep going to the point that you were just making.
I mean, like I said earlier, honestly, I don't really know what they deem, because if it's wins, FSU gets in. It's a Power 5 conference. That's okay. That's it. If it's not, and then they're gonna look at, like you said, okay, they struggled against Louisville. They pulled it out of the swamp, but whatever. That's a rivalry. But they won. It was ugly. It may not have been the prettiest, but they won. If we're gonna talk about not pulling out like pretty dubs, Alabama didn't have a lot of pretty dubs this year. So it's like, back in the end zone, whatever. I don't care if they practice it 30 times every day in practice, whatever. Back in the end zone throw. I mean, I don't want to say it's lucky, but it's a great throw by Jalen Milroe against Auburn. It's a great throw, but if you don't, that ball 1 inch away, that's out of bounds. Like that's fantastic. So kudos to them. But it wasn't an ugly duck against Auburn, who I think lost to what, like New Mexico, New Idaho State, or something like that. Like, so I mean, so I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know what the like. Okay, so this is what they say. They say from the bylaws, the CFP committee will consider 4 criteria when teams are deemed comparable: championships won, strength of schedule, head-to-head comp, and comparative outcomes of common opponents. So, honestly, breaking that down, I don't know what the heck that has to do with how they pick. I mean, I guess championships won. Okay.
I was say that's conference. Then the strength of schedule. Bama got them beating the strength of schedule. Or Florida State playing Wake Forest and Pittsburgh.
That's true.
And all these other. They played North Alabama, right? And I get
they did. Alabama did have Alabama does have a stronger.
And I think Texas has one of the. I think Texas has one of the hardest schedules.
They have like
in the
a
country.
top. They have like a top.
So that's why I said Texas was getting in that. No matter what happened,
Texas is gonna get in.
The biggest question was between Bama and But before we even get to that, Tyler, you can what do you think they look at? Obviously, I mean we see the bylaws, whatever. But what do you think the committee actually looks at? Like, what do you think their criteria is?
I mean, the biggest thing is, like you said, like Will said, conference championships. I feel like undefeated, you're gonna get in there. Supposed to get in there. I honestly didn't even do that, but. When you got, I don't know, strength of schedule's got to be the biggest part because, like I said, Florida State, they didn't play the strongest people. Like LSU was their best win, like that's good, but we seen how LSU was up and down all year. So I don't know. I feel like Bama. I mean, they beat Georgia. That's like a major. That's big. That's huge. I feel like that outweighs Florida State going 13-0, kind of, because you played the national champion. They almost won 30 games in a row. Like that's not easy to do. So
yeah,
I feel like you got to look at strength of schedule. It's probably the biggest thing, and obviously record too. But
yeah, and
they got to. I know a lot of people. They're gonna have to answer a lot of questions and ask what's the criteria, and they gotta. I think they are extending it, like we talked about before we started.
Yeah, I think it's 8-12, so they're not really gonna be in they're not.
Yeah, they're not gonna be in this predicament no more.
I really just think, bro, it's the last time they gonna have. It's the last time they got 4 teams. Them dudes said we just gonna have. We gonna go out with a bang.
Exactly.
We gonna go out with a bang.
They're not gonna complain no more because
we're gonna go out with a bang. Because I don't think honestly, from obviously, I mean, the general consensus when I look at social media, I think a lot of people like it. Honestly, I think a lot of people like it. Obviously, aside from FSU fans, but it's like it makes sense. It's not egregious to the point where I'm just like, oh my gosh, like these guys got it wrong. Like it makes sense. I mean, Cincinnati, you thought they were the right choice. Saw what happened with them.
They didn't play that bad though. I wouldn't call it a blowout. They played very good against Alabama.
There's a lot of I understand, and to Will's point again, and actually, before I even get to that, like another thing for Alabama that I think helped them was the fact, I mean, they looked They won that game convincingly, even though the score
That's a
only
major
says
part,
like they
too.
won by 3. They were pretty
Controlled it.
They
dominant.
controlled
that
that game.
Yep.
And they look at game control too, a lot too.
Mhm.
So that's another thing where it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like where all that, it just kind of just gets kind of funky. But nah, I mean, I don't know. For me, I don't really know what their version of a criteria is. Obviously, like you said, Tyler, especially if you're in a Power 5 conference, you go undefeated, you should be a lock. That should just be it. You're a lock to get in.
That's
But
crazy.
I mean, it's just very hard because there's another thing we normally don't see. We normally don't see a 1 seed, especially a team like Georgia, lose and just get knocked out. Normally they drop to like 4 or 3, but they got knocked out. And Georgia's still one of the best teams in the country. So it's like, it's just hard not to put in a team like Alabama, especially, like I said, when their only loss is against number 3 seed Texas. So it's like, yes, a lot of those wins weren't convincing. A lot of those, they're in a lot of close ones. I'm pretty sure they were in like a close one with USF at one point. But I mean, look at Florida State. I think they had a late drive, I think, against Boston College, only won by 2.
Boston, that's exactly what I was saying.
So
Like,
I mean, you could nitpick everyone's schedule. I mean, everyone has like, you know, these close games, you know, where they should be winning convincingly. But
teams, yeah.
But I mean, it all comes down towards, especially the end of the year. And I mean, when you beat ranked opponents, I mean, that's what I really think it comes down to.
You know what I would like? You know what I'd like to know? Because obviously, like, the committee is going to pick. They already have all these scenarios laid out. So they probably know what 4 teams, even if it's coming down to like last minute, they know what 4 teams like they want to put in there based on what scenario. I wish they would come out and reveal what had happened if Georgia had a won. Because
I think Texas would have got
based off their criteria, based off
Yeah.
what this says, like the bylaws, FSU still wouldn't get in there.
I think Texas would have got it. Well, I think it would have been harder.
Georgia, Washington, Michigan, and
I
Texas?
think it would have been harder. It would have been a harder thing to do because, yeah, that win against Alabama would still look good, but it'd been like, them boys just lost in the SEC championship. So, you know what I'm saying? It would have looked a little bit harder. But, I mean, obviously, if you look at it, you think, yeah, we'd have 4 undefeated teams in the college football playoff. That would make the most sense. But they definitely have to look. They're definitely looking at the fact that Jordan Travis is hurt. Even though I don't think they shouldn't be using that. They should use the fact of, all right, they're 13-0, and you know what I'm saying. But I don't. Obviously, when they're deliberating and doing all that, they're definitely like, this is gonna be a blowout.
Getting in regardless. FSU probably the moment Travis went down, committee probably like, who this job just got easier.
So that's what I'm saying.
Exactly what I said.
Yeah, no. Is it right? No. Because of the fact, like, you know, like, obviously you got to go off what they did on paper. But when you want to do the eye test, they're like, this is going to be a blowout. Like, what's his name? Rodemaker? I'm like, I don't want to watch him. Oh, because
we got contracts with TV rights.
I don't want to watch that.
We need ratings. And this is where that bread at. Come on, man.
Be on that TV.
So it's like, bro, we're not. They're like, the minute Jordan Travis went out, I was like, yeah, it might be chips.
It was in a meaningless game too. That's the crazy part.
Yeah,
bro. He shouldn't even been play. Like, let's keep it a buck. This ain't no disrespect to North Alabama. They still D1 and everything, but like, why? Why even play him? Why even play him?
Like he said, I think Jordan Travis tweeted, he's like, he wish he had broke his leg sooner. I'm like, buddy, if you broke your leg sooner, y'all would not be 13-0.
Hey, tighten up, man. Yeah,
relax.
I was like, look, bro. I said, don't wish that. Please don't wish that. Everything happens.
You just said they kind of like, we upset with this decision.
Like, I get what he was trying to do. He was trying to be like, yeah, like, I wanted y'all to see like how good this team was, like, which they are really good. But I mean, they would not have been 13-0 if Jordan Travis had hurt his leg.
No, absolutely
they would not have been
absolutely
13-0.
not.
That's the reality of it. I get it. He's a great teammate. He's trying to prove like, hey, you know, these guys still would have been. No, buddy, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It wouldn't happen. I apologize. And I mean, that's a testament to how good you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just wouldn't happen. You know. But yeah, they def got it right. So we could kind of go into now like some of these matchups. I mean, let's kind of start with the Washington-Texas matchup. I'm going to start with you, Ty. What do you think is going to happen in that game? Who do you think is coming out on top?
I honestly don't want to use Quinn Ewers game against Oklahoma State as like evidence as like he's gonna go crazy because OSU's defense looked terrible in that game. But I don't know. He might have another game. I'll say it's close to that. I wouldn't say it that good because he was going crazy. He went crazy in the first half too. I don't know. It's a good battle of quarterbacks. It's definitely good. This will be a better battle as far as quarterbacking than Bama and Michigan for sure. So I don't know. I think Penix might get a game-winning drive at the end or something. I'm gonna say Washington like 35, and Texas gonna have 31. It's gonna be a high-scoring game for sure.
It is gonna be a high-scoring game. Honestly, I think I'm gonna go along that same vein. And some of my homies are Texas fans, so that also helps. So I don't really want to root for them.
He's a
Horns
professional
down,
hater, bro.
bro. My fault, bro. I just can't help myself, bro. That's just my fault, bro. Horns down, bro. And I don't think Quentin Ewers is like that. I'm gonna just keep it a stack. Archie, get out of there. Get out of there, Arch. Please. Yeah, I'm gonna go. That is gonna be. I mean, still, despite my slight bias, that is gonna be a tough matchup. Definitely, like you said, Tyler Howe, offensive scoring game. But I'm gonna go ahead and take Washington. They're a talented team. I think the leadership that they have. They're an older team, and so they're I don't think they've been this battle tested, but that Oregon game was tough. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to Washington. I'm gonna give it to Washington. Oh my God, hook 'em. Hashtag hook 'em. I'm not hooking them.
Nah, I'm actually gonna. I want to say Texas. I actually like Texas a lot. But I think to Tyler's point, it's like I can't really go off this Oklahoma State game. I mean, Oklahoma State, I'm pretty sure 2 weeks prior lost to UCF 45-3. So it's just, I mean, Washington just looked offensively. I mean, if you're able to do what you did to Oregon, not once, but 2 games. I mean, like, and Oregon is one of the best teams in the country when it comes to game control, one of the most high-powered offenses. You know, I mean, explosive plays, explosive players. And the fact that Washington was able to limit those big plays in the Pac-12 championship and, was able to, even though Oregon was kind of, making a rally and coming back, Washington stayed composed. And I think it does help, to Will's point, is the fact that they are a bit older. They have a little more experience. So I'm going to go Washington. I mean, obviously Texas, I mean, they're just as good offensively. I do have to see if Xavier Worthy is going to be available because he did get hurt in the Big 12 championship. And I think that is a big blow to their offense. I mean, he's arguably their, most explosive player. Defensively, I like Texas a lot too. It's just, I mean, if Washington's able to do what they did to Oregon, I mean, it's going to be very hard to stop that team. And Michael Penix is, like I said, he's on a mission, So, yeah, I'm definitely.
It's gonna be tough though. It's gonna be tough because Texas.
Receiving core is like that though, bro.
That's Texas defense is better than Washington. And against that Oregon, both Oregon games, they relied pretty heavily on what's his name, Dylan Johnson in the run game.
Yeah,
like he popped off like 100+ yards. So if they slow him down, I think they have like a fairly, if not one of the better, like rush defenses in the nation. So if they do that, then Washington is gonna put a lot of stress on Michael Penix to make throws down the field, which I think he can. But
yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean,
honestly, I might just switch it to Texas. Honestly,
it's just the thing with I like that though because Durant, it's like. Oh my God, bro! God dang, bro!
Call it.
What's he talking about, Kevin Durant?
No, I know, man. I'm just saying. I feel like I just don't want to. I know he'll be watching the game, and
but we're not even talking about Kevin Durant.
No, I know, but I'm saying.
But we're not even talking about basketball. How you even got to Kevin Durant? We talking about Texas versus Washington college football. You talking about Kevin Durant?
Right? No, because I'm saying obviously a Longhorn alum, so I'm sure he's gonna be rooting for them.
He finna be catching deep balls.
No, I'm just saying.
Is he gonna be catching on New Year's Eve? Is he gonna be catching or New Year's? Is he gonna be catching jump balls? That's what I want to know.
No, I'm not.
So then Kevin Durant got nothing to do with this conversation.
He might be. He'll probably be at the game, and maybe. I don't know. I don't want the screen to pan over to Kevin and he over there cheering, and I'm like, let's go Huskies. Like,
you're a sick man. There's something really sick with you.
That's crazy.
You are a sick man. You're a sick man.
And I have his Longhorns.
All right, buddy.
So we feel like it's only.
You already said Washington. You already gave your whole reasoning for Washington, buddy. So whatever. I don't know. I don't know if you just envisioned the Kevin Durant highlight. I don't know. Anyways, so I think we all agree on Washington across the board. So let's go to Michigan, Alabama. I'm gonna start with you,
Will. Boy, I mean, this might put me in more of a pickle than the Kevin Durant thing. Jeez, man.
Oh wow.
I'll be honest. I don't really want to speak on Michigan like that because I'm a diehard MSU fan, and so like their success this year has really just put a damper on life in general. Like I feel like my quality of life has decreased specifically this year since like seeing their success, and so I'm not gonna talk about like how good they are or whatever, like all that good stuff. Because,
but you just wanted like a minute rant. I didn't even know what you were saying. Like,
but
whole lot of nothing.
but Alabama's playing. I'm trying to take my bias out the way. But Alabama is playing their best brand of ball as of late. Jalen Milroe, who I thought was slightly better than Justin Fields earlier in the season. I've changed my mind. Okay, he is better. I thought he was dog water. I'm gonna keep it a stack. I thought he was dog water.
You just said Jalen Milroe's better than Justin Fields.
I thought I was like when I was watching him play, I was like, yeah, this guy's a slightly better version of Justin Fields, like in the NFL, because Justin Fields is dog water. So I'm like, he's dog water, but a little better. Yeah, but no, Jalen Milroe, I think he's playing. Kudos to you. I take that back. You are playing a lot better. I do think you're a little delusional, screaming, "Give me the Heisman." You're not gonna get it, buddy. Sorry,
he was crazy.
I don't know what that was about.
Crazy for that one.
I didn't even know he was in the running. He said, "Give me the Heisman." I had to go look up the odds again. I said, "What? I didn't know you were turning in that direction." I don't know what that was about. I don't know what Nick Saban telling. Anywho, yeah, they're playing a lot better. Defense is playing a whole lot better than what they were. But man, Michigan's defense has been just incredibly dominant the whole year. It's it's actually disgusting. And JJ McCarthy I hate to say it, but he's actually a better quarterback than what he actually even has to do on a game-by-game basis because their run game is so dominant with Blake and Donovan. Their defense is incredible, where he doesn't have to have like overwhelming performances. He just gotta play good, limit turnovers, not turn the ball over. I mean, like that throw against Ohio State was crazy. I was like, what the heck? I'm like, what?
You're better, Brock.
But yeah, man, never in my life. I say all that to say, sorry, I was talking long, but I say all that to say, never in my life will I ever root for the Wolverines to win absolutely anything. I don't care who they are or what they do. I'm going Bama, roll tide. I'm gonna roll tide all the way. Absolutely never like Michigan, bro. Like absolutely not. They're a bunch of cheaters. Okay, don't even let me get on that.
Will, hold on. You just said Josh. You said you're going on a rant. He said, "Yeah, I'm trying to get my bias out the way," and continued to keep that bias right where it was at.
My fault, bro. I can only put it to the side for so long.
I'm not saying I'm mad at it. I'm just saying because you
That's
said
hilarious.
I'm doing it to keep the bias out the way.
Nah,
and he still kept the bias.
He kept that bias.
Yeah, a bunch of cheaters, man. I know they already got the signs. They already got the signs from Bama. So good luck. Good luck. Okay.
Oh, but
I'm not gonna go into that though. I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not gonna get into it, but we know.
What about you, Ty? What you think?
Excuse me. That's tough. It's hard to. First of all, it's always hard to go against bet against a team like Bama. That would be stupid in some aspects. But I mean, Michigan is playing amazing both sides of the ball. They probably got the best 1-2 punch in the backfield as far as running backs, or one of the best. They got a good receiving core, great, like you mentioned, a great defense. But Bama is going crazy. And Milrow is looking, like you said, I don't know about no Heisman yet, brother, man. You're looking better than you did at the beginning of the year because we ain't going to act like you ain't start off getting benched twice or however many times it was. So I ain't never seen a Heisman get benched in the year, but we ain't going to talk about that. So I don't know. It's tough. I think I want to rock with Bama in like a 17 to 13 game. I'll go Bama 17-13. I think they control the clock. Michigan doesn't go crazy. If they're able to stop the run, Bama's gonna roll over them. But if I feel like if they hold them to under 100 yards rushing, if Bama holds them under 100 yards rushing, they got it. I think I'll give them Bama 17-13.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna complete the sweep. I'm gonna go Roll Tide. Look, I'm not usually someone that kind of holds the pass against anyone, but I mean, I don't think Michigan's ever won a playoff game, and I'm pretty sure last year they played TCU and got absolutely embarrassed. So I'm so look, it just seems like they just wake up to play against Ohio State. I don't know why, but I mean, like Tyler said, a key point is if Alabama can slow up that run and slow up Blake Corum, then yeah, it's gonna be in for a long game. I mean, if I'm Alabama, I gotta make JJ McCarthy beat me. If JJ McCarthy beats me, then okay, I can go sleep at night peacefully. But the odds of JJ McCarthy beating those Alabama DBs is very, very slim. I mean, this guy doesn't really have to pass the ball at all most games. So I mean, you think he's gonna start airing it out against Alabama, who just beat Georgia with Colton Beck, Brock Bowers, all those weapons they got on that team? No, I'm not a believer. But Michigan's run offense is very good. But I think Bama's going to be ready for that. Clearly, I mean, you beat Georgia, you limit a lot of their actions they normally do, and I mean, you made literally number 1 ranked Georgia look normal for once. So I mean, if they can do that to Georgia, I want to see what they're going to do to Bama. And I mean, to your point, Jalen Milrow he's been picking it up. I don't think he's a Heisman contender. I don't know why. I still, like you said, I don't know why he was saying that, but I don't think he's a Heisman contender. I love the confidence though. But he's been playing great. He's been airing it out. He's really been a quarterback. I know a lot of people look at him and think he's like more of a runner, but he's really a solid quarterback. And I think he said at one point too that he prefers to just sit in the pocket. And I mean, he's made a lot of good reads.
Why you come for sure? I thought you was about to say that's
he made a lot of good reads against Georgia towards the end of the game. He got a lot of crucial first downs. So obviously, and I mean, since the Texas loss, I mean, they've been hot. The hottest team in the league. I mean, in the country. So yeah, I'm gonna go Roll Tide. And it's really hard to bet against Nick Saban. I'm not even a Bama fan, honestly. I mean, I was so happy when they finally stopped losing, but I mean, I can't deny when, I mean, they're figuring it out now. So I'm gonna go Bama. So that kind of brings us to our last topic, our last game. Florida State, Georgia. I'm gonna go first on this one. I'm gonna go Georgia. I'm gonna just go Georgia off rip. I mean, I'm sorry.
No explanation.
It ain't really no explanation. It's just Jordan Travis not playing, and what I think Georgia defense gonna do to Florida State might, it might get me incarcerated for saying what I think they gonna do to them. So I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm just gonna go and say Georgia is gonna beat Florida State. I'm not gonna give you a prediction score because you're not gonna want to hear it. Florida State fans gonna hate me. Again, I think if y'all had Jordan Travis, I think y'all would be in the college football playoff possibly, but y'all don't have him. Y'all have Rodemaker and Brock Glenn, and you saw he did Louisville. So yeah, I'm gonna go on a limb and say go Georgia Bulldogs. Ty, you can go.
Yeah, that's pretty easy. I'm going Georgia. I feel like they're pretty upset we're getting kicked out of the playoffs, so it's about to be a real belt to ass for Florida State. Y'all gonna be sad for two reasons. Y'all ain't make the playoffs going undefeated, and y'all got beat on the next game. So it's gonna be bad. I'm gonna give a prediction. I got Georgia 37 or 35-17. It's gonna be bad, and that's being nice on me. I was I'm being nice with that too. Because I don't like predicting crazy blowouts, but yeah, it's gonna be built to ass for sure for Florida State. It's gonna get bad for them.
Yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead and ride on the same wave that y'all doing. Bulldogs gonna win this game. Don't get me wrong. I think FSU gonna come out fired up. You know, they coach gonna have them
gonna be
ready
fired
to
up
play, talking about
once
some we
that
belong.
first hit stick come in. Then
Yeah,
that's
what I said. Let's not forget the Georgia coach Kirby. He was like, listen, I don't know why we wouldn't be in there. Like he was saying this, I think day before or after the game. He was like, even if we lost, it don't matter. We lost. We should be in regardless. He was talking real confident. So he probably pissed that they ain't in either. So,
they're gonna show why they won 29 straight games.
They're gonna put that. You know when they score, when they score and they pan over to that bulldog that be sitting in that cage. We're gonna see that bulldog about 30 times. It's gonna be a long. It's gonna be a long night for them.
Yep. It's not gonna look good.
Yeah, go Bulldogs on that one. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we kind of covered everything. You know, college football playoff, some matchups. You know, we had to come out and give y'all a quick episode on this because, like I said, I mean, it's taking the sports world by storm. And again, you know, I apologize to FSU fans. I know 13-0 undefeated conference champ. I mean, look. I mean, by the bylaws, it seems like y'all really should have got in, but I mean, I just think the committee said they want to watch some good football. Unfortunate what happened to Jordan Travis. I mean, that's very unfortunate what happened to him. I mean, if he never gets hurt, you guys are probably in. But I mean, hopefully y'all like this episode, man. Like and subscribe. I'm your host, Josh Raphael. My co-host, Tyler Pouncey, Will Young. We gonna be back next week.
Oh Lord.
Deuces.